What's going on, YouTube? Welcome to the land of Reckless Logic. Please make sure you guys pop that like button, hit the subscribe button, and please smack the notification bell so do not miss any more posts from me. Let's get straight into this video. Alrighty, guys, how you guys doing today? As you guys can already tell by the title of this video, I will be talking about Tory Lanez's father. Now, Tory Lanez's father, he ended up going on IG Live, and while he was live, he basically, in so many words, said a whole bunch of nothing. But also, in addition to that, I'm going to run my fair use and my explicit content disclaimer because I know for a fact I just might get a little rowdy. And I also never know, I just might play some videos. So I'm just going to cover my own behind. So let's get straight into this video, y'all. Disclaimer. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976 allows is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, always constructive. Comment down below. News reporting, I guess that's what we doing. Teaching, hopefully y'all learn something. Scholarship, we ain't got no money. Education and research so you can get a nasty piece of degree. Okay? Fair use is the use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Hey everyone. Now let's just first things first. I really tried to do this video earlier, much earlier, but it really did not work out. Like, I really tried. Now, in terms of me trying to do this video, I'm gonna say like an hour before this or whatever, it just wasn't working out. But I'm here now. How's everybody doing? And first things first, I'm always gonna let everybody know, either on your way in or your way out, please make sure you guys thumbs up. Please, thumbing up really does help out with YouTube's algorithm, and it really does help me out because guess what? When we do our job in here, YouTube can finally do their job out there, and when they do their job out there, we have more people that come here. Okay, period. Hey everyone, how y'all doing? Let me just get a little bit of this real quick. Alrighty, now I did write down some notes because I kind of knew for a fact that I wanted to watch of course, the live for myself. I also wanted to make sure that when I was watching the live, that I wanted to write down some thoughts that happened, that occurred while I was watching the video. And let's get straight into it. So, as a summary of what actually went on in the live, basically, and I got it written down right here. Basically, throughout the live, there were three things that basically happened, just three little chapters. Chapter one that I noticed is that just about his father, Sonstar Peterson, aka Daystar Peterson's father, aka by the name of Tory Lanez. His father claimed Tory Lanez's innocence. That's one. Another thing that he did, of course, he talked about Roc Nation, playing into certain narratives, and also dipping his toe, his foot, his leg into conspiracy theories. We're gonna get into that. And then not only that, he said, and this is the most shocking and the thing that most definitely got people talking, he forgave him, Tory Lanez, and the rest of the family, forgives Megan Thee Stallion. Now, I'm not gonna lie, what actually made me want to actually talk about it, because at first I really wasn't gonna talk about this, is when everybody else, content creators, started having their thumbnails and started to show their titles, and the title was like, you know, Tory Lanez's father, Sonstar Peterson, forgives Megan Thee Stallion. I'm like, forgive Megan Thee Stallion? Shouldn't it be the other way around? If forgiveness is something that she was ready to do, or ready to, like, you know, if she was ready for that step, don't you guys think that should be the other way around? But however, I forgot he does not take. He's not going to hold his son responsible for the things that he has done. I forgot. But let's get straight into some things. So I did actually watch the live. And to be completely honest, for the first, I'm going to say the first 15 minutes, the Sonstar, aka, which is the father of Daystar, which equals, I'm going to call him Moonlight. Sonstar, I'm going to call him Moonlight. Moonlight, for the first 15 minutes, he didn't really say nothing. He just about didn't say nothing for the first 15 minutes. One thing I will say, I do remember I want to say that was Goddess Speaks. Goddess Speaks was somebody, now y'all don't know. I'm pretty sure y'all in here know, but just in case, some of y'all don't know, but Goddess Speaks, who is another content creator, she was one of the content creators that actually went to the courthouse while the trial was actually going on. Now, the thing with her is that she actually had the opportunity to actually have like a little small, I guess, small conversation, little remark to Tory Lanez. Now, one of the things that she did say that when it came down to Tory Lanez is that he's very charming, or there's a charming aura about him. So one thing I did notice in this IG live that Moonlight was hosting is that I can see a lot of the things that people say about Tory Lanez. I can see those different attributes or different characteristics, traits in his father. The fact that I can see, not saying that he is for everybody, but I can see how some people can probably look at his father and say, oh, I can see the charming factor about his father. And I can see where he get it from, honestly. Now, the next thing I do want to say as well is that within the first 15 minutes, he wasn't talking about nothing. It was nothing. I'm going to call it fluff. He said a whole bunch of nothing. And then not only that, I kind of looked at that first 15 minutes as a way for him to set a foundation for what was actually going to go on or what his message was going to be in the live. The first 15 minutes, he didn't say nothing. That's just no shade. No shade at all. He didn't say nothing at all. Let me see what you guys are doing. Ooh, am I going good? He needs to forgive himself for being the type of father that made Daystar the way he is, girl. It's his money that makes him charming. Well, that could be a factor. Only God knows. But I could see the quote unquote charming, I guess the charming factor that some people may get distracted by. I can see where he gets that from when it comes down to Tory Lanez and his father. Now, another thing too is that I felt like when the first 15 minutes, he was setting the tone. Now, the thing I did notice in the first 15 minutes, you can say it was an introduction of his, I guess, who he is, since we already have more of a, we kind of know who Tory Lanez is, but for most people, I'm gonna say that aren't really Tory Lanez fans or supporters, we really don't know we really don't know Tory Lanez on a real personal level as in his childhood compared to his supporters, but also we don't know who the hell his family is, just to be completely honest with you. So when it came down to Tory Lanez, I felt like, Tory Lanez's father, Moonlight, when it came down to him, I felt like the first 15 minutes, in addition to it being just fluff, I also felt like it was an introduction. He was trying to introduce himself to us, the masses. Now, here's the thing. One of the things that I did notice in the first 15 minutes, or I'm going to say throughout the live, is that he used his pastor title as a way to, I guess on a subconscious level, try to build trust. Hold up, y'all. Give me 2.5 seconds. Y'all make sure you guys thumbs up this video. Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. I done forgot. Okay, y'all, I'm back. I had to go make sure to check on the kids again. Once again, they got a little bit too quiet. I was like, okay, y'all a little bit too quiet over here, baby. Y'all get a little too quiet. I got to check on y'all. Ooh, y'all, I'm over here multitasking. Once again, now where was I? Okay, so in terms of when it comes down to Tory Lanez, his father, Moonlight, and actually, hold up. Oh, Lord. Let me go back to it. Okay, well, yes. Okay, so that's what I was saying. I felt like when it came down to Tory, when it came down to Moonlight, I felt like I know that's right. Hey, what's going on, Breeze? Hey, Anonymous. Yeah, I know when them kids get really quiet, you got to check up on them. When they get really quiet or they get a little bit too loud, you know, for the most part, when they get like that medium range, it's cool. But when they start to get like up here or they get like real down here, it's like, I gotta go check on them. So I had to go check on them real quick. But oh yeah, so what's going on, Breeze? So I'm gonna say this. I felt like the first 15 minutes, and I'm also gonna say throughout the live, I felt like he was setting the tone for the message that he was trying to give and convey. But I also noticed throughout the live that I felt like he used his pastor title as a way to build trust when it comes down to the masses. Because keep in mind for the supporters and keep in mind for people that aren't really supporters of Tory Lanez, as in to know him on a personal level outside of his music, as in his family and his background. He's trying to build trust, basically to let us know that, you know what, since I am a pastor, and since, you know, because let's just call a spade a spade. Most people expect for Tory Lanez's father to speak up for his son because guess what? That they're related. Most people are going to speak up for their family members if they're in some type of trouble. Let's call a spade a spade. That's for the most part. For the most part. But since people, since he knows that, and plus he knows that people are going to automatically believe that, okay, you're just speaking up for your son because that's your son. And like someone said in the comments, that's his meal ticket. That's how you get a whole bunch of money, etc. There's a whole bunch of things people have said. But I think that him using his pastor title is a way for him to build trust, so people can be like, you know what, he's a pastor, he's looking out for the masses, we should trust him because he's a man of God, essentially. Oh, girl. Okay, so another thing I noticed too is that the verbiage that was used throughout the live, like he would use verbiage along the lines of talking about he fears God, saying things like he fears God and he does not fear evil people. Once again, that's one of the dog whistles that I will talk about a little bit later, but we're going to hold off on that. He also talked about that. He also let me know he did not want to tear people down in this specific live. Now, let's be very clear. Let's be very, 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 very clear. When it came down to him saying that he doesn't want to, quote unquote, tear people down, once again, I felt like that was a way to build trust. I feel like it's a way to build trust because now you talked about you being a pastor. You talked about you know, you're a man of God, and saying that you didn't want to, quote unquote, tear people down. So like, oh my God, his message is going to be something good. He's going to speak the truth without, quote unquote, attacking Megan. But we're going to get into that a little bit later. Now, another thing, once again, in addition to the verbiage, he also used scriptures or religious language. I'm gonna say that he used religious language to the I forgot what did he say. He said something along the lines of, "Oh, you must love thy neighbor." And if we can be honest, the reason I'm bringing all this up because I do feel like it's very strategic, and I felt like it was most definitely placed at very specific points, whether he knows it or not. But I'm pretty sure he knows it. They were used in this live as a way to convey and build trust. But we're going to get into that. Now let's get into the conspiracy and dog whistles. Because, of course, he talked about conspiracy theories. And, of course, he used dog whistles throughout the live. But not only that, he also mentioned Tory Lanez's good deeds that he has done. Is his real name Moonlight? No, I call him Moonlight. That's just a nickname I gave him because his name is Sonstar. His son name is Daystar. And so I was like, you know, his nickname going to be Moonlight. That's really what happened. Just to be completely honest with you. Y'all make sure you guys thumbs up this video. Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. Okay. So Okay, so the first thing when he started to talk about the conspiracy theories, dog whistles. Now, he talked about social media. Talked about social media in a sense of it's very evil, it's very wicked, and he talked about it being like this nasty place, etc. I'm paraphrasing y'all. Now, keep in mind, the reason why that stuck out to me is because he started to feed into different narratives. He started to feed into the narrative of, you know, the social media or the media or the news outlets, etc. They're trying to manipulate the masses, all those things. Now, here's the thing. Awesome conversation, but however, wrong timing. Here's the thing. Like when it comes down to the conversations surrounding media and the way they may manipulate stories and stuff, that conversation actually holds some truth, but what you're not going to do is try to use that specific conversation as a dog whistle to draw in people that really don't know the ins and outs of the case. Just to call a spade a spade. You're not going to use that. Now, so yes, he did talk about social media saying that it was evil. And then he also said, and I'm about to quote it. He says, they are scared. People are going to think for themselves. Now, here's the thing. That also stood out to me by the way he said they. So the first thing I thought about, who is they? Once again, these are dog whistles. Now you're starting to step into the narrative. Now keep in mind, when I say narrative, I'm not saying these narratives are true or false, but what I am going to say now you're starting to push or hint towards the narrative of, you know, the Illuminati, Big Machine, Roc Nation, all those things. It's the language that he uses. It's the verbiage. Now, within the live, he did actually claim Tory Lanez's innocence. Now, when he did do that, he also mentioned the good deeds that Tory Lanez has done throughout his career. He mentioned and talked about how a woman, I guess she had some type of disorder, illness, or something was going on. I forgot exactly to say what it was exactly, but talked about how he paid her rent up for a year. Up to a year, he paid for her rent. Not only that, he talked about how Tory Lanez was actually an active member on a specific board that freed prisoners who were wrongfully convicted. And then he talked about how prison is I'm about to paraphrase y'all, how prison creates monsters. He didn't say that, but I'm just paraphrasing. It creates monsters. And the first thing I thought about was this show called 60 Days In. Now, before I proceed with that, let's just rewind real quick. Okay, so here's the thing. Hey, Michelle. Here's the thing. Let me put this bad boy up. So here's the thing. When it comes down to him actually talking and speaking of Tory Lanez's good deeds, yes, these are some good deeds. He thank you for paying that woman's rent. Cool. But you having one or two good deeds, that does not negate or dismiss the situation that currently happened with Megan Thee Stallion. Let's just call a spade a spade. It does not negate that experience. Like, let's be very clear. There are people who do I'm gonna say good deeds on a regular, but however, they may have moments where they just spaz out. There are literally stories of pastors, like, you know, executing their whole family because they're, you know, stressed out, or teachers going crazy and doing stuff that's like it's just because you have a good deed or good deeds, that does not negate the actual experience of the situation that's actually being talked about in the current moment. That's one. Now him talking and bringing up Tory Lanez actually being part of a board that frees prisoners who are wrongfully convicted. I felt like that was very strategic, whether it's true or not. I felt like it was very strategic. And here's the thing too. He said that, now keep in mind I'm about to paraphrase. Come on, memory. He says something along the lines of Tory Lanez was just about on that board for a couple of years. I want to say like 2 years. The number I'm not too sure about, but I'm pretty sure, and I'm pretty solid that he said for numerous years. How long? I don't know. But I will say this. The first thing I thought about when he said that, I was like, okay, so your son was on this board for numerous years, talking to prisoners, being able, or I'm assuming talking to prisoners and being able to, quote unquote, free them from being wrongfully convicted, but yet he's still in these streets, was still running in these streets, pulling out weapons on people, holding and having unregistered weapons, hitting people upside their heads, breaking and violating gag orders, or violating what's it called? I want to say not probation, restraining orders and stuff. So it's like, once again, you're doing an awesome thing with the good deed of being on this board and stuff, but let's be very clear. Your actions still, like that still does not negate the stuff that you have done. Let's just call a spade a spade. And to be completely honest too, and I'm just about to be that person. And who's to say that him being on these boards, not saying that over some time he probably was passionate about it, but let's be very clear. When it comes down to celebrities, especially when we know that they are in big trouble or when they are in, you know, some type of legal issues, they do pull publicity stunts to be able to sway the public about their image. So I don't know. But then again, I don't know if that was actually made public or not. So that could be invalid what I just said about this situation personally. Hey, what's going on, y'all? I'm over here drinking my water. So yes, so I felt like him bringing up the board where he talked about Tory Lanez being part of a board where they free prisoners and stuff. I felt that was very strategic because now you're using certain verbiage that's used to be able to trigger up. Oh my God, he's part of, he was a member of a board that freed prisoners for being wrongfully convicted. And now he's the victim of being wrongfully convicted. So now when you have people that are actually feeding into the narratives of Roc Nation, feeding into the narrative of we must protect black men, feeding into the narrative that, you know, this black woman got rid of this black man and his children and all these things. Now you have those people falling into the trap of believing of narrative, at least in this specific case, that does not hold any weight. To be completely honest with you, it does not hold any weight. Okay, I'm thirsty. It doesn't hold weight. So, okay, so he did mention and say that when it came down to the prison, like prison, it makes quote unquote monsters. Now, he didn't say monsters directly, but that's kind of a term that I use all the time when it comes down to talking about the prison system and the way that it cultivates an environment and kind of mutates people from behaving one way when they're outside of the prison, and then they behave a different way when they're actually inside of that rough environment, and they're kind of like in survival mode. Now, the reason why how I know that is because I actually watched this show. It's called 60 Days In. Now, watching 60 Days In, you basically see, hold up, give me 2.5 seconds. Okay, so I actually watched 60. No, my bad, y'all. The kids over here asking me something. But I actually watched 60 Days In, and while I was actually watching the show, you actually got the opportunity to see people from different walks of life. So you may have a teacher, you may have an a former military personnel, you may have someone that's pro police, you may have someone that's completely against the prison system. You have people from all different types of life, and a whole bunch of people with different attitudes and opinions about the current government system. And their job is to be in jail, the prison system, for like 60 days. And while they're in there for 60 days, they're undercover, they're getting a chance, getting a close opportunity to see how the officers are, to see how the prisoners are, see who are gang members, see who aren't really gang members, like all those things. And they're all assigned a task, and they must report and give, report and, actually talk about the task or whatever. Now, reason why I bring that up is because I saw a lot of similarities when it came down to people acting one way outside of the prison system, but then once they actually got inside of the prison and the environment was very controlled, and the environment kind of made people step into this survival mode. People that said they wouldn't do certain things, once they actually got into that environment, they were doing a lot of things that they said they wouldn't do. Some of the people that was real like shy, docile, didn't really do nothing, say much, when they got inside of that environment, that I'm gonna say like at times, I'm gonna say the animalistic environment, they were very much more aggressive, very much more rah, very much more, indulging in things, even stealing at times. It was a whole bunch of things. But the point in case that I'm saying of what he was speaking to is talking about how the prison system, the job of the prison system it's supposed to rehabilitate, but that's not the case. Now, reason why I bring that up is because awesome conversation, and that conversation holds some truth. But once again, it's very strategic about the way that you're bringing this conversation up. It's very strategic. Now, what you're doing, you're playing into the narratives. You're playing into the narratives of the people that's feeding into Roc Nation, feeding into we must protect black men, feeding into this woman got rid of this black man and stripped him away from his child. All those things. It's a way to once again build trust and have dog whistles to activate the MK Ultra of delusion within people's hearts. No shade. All right, so now he did talk about Roc Nation. Let's get into Roc Nation. Now, he did say when it came down to Roc Nation, now, girl, he said that him, Tory Lanez, and the family forgives Megan Thee Stallion. And the first thing I said was like, okay, I was confused. Because I'm like, shouldn't that be the other way around? Shouldn't she be the one trying to decide whether or not she forgives you guys? Even though I do believe that she forgave everybody. To be completely honest, because she didn't even press charges. But wouldn't she be the one to actually say, I forgive you guys? Not y'all acting like y'all are the victims. I'm going to say the primary victim. Not y'all acting like y'all are the main ones that were actually shot. Not y'all acting like y'all are the ones that were actually beat up like Kelsey. And y'all the ones that had all this trauma. But from what we know as of right now, your son was the one perpetuating all of that trauma and abuse. So I don't know. Moonlight need to get it together. He need to get it together. And but not only that, he also said that he will not back down to Roc Nation. Because even though he most definitely forgives Megan Pete, he will not back down to Roc Nation, aka The Machine. Now, he did say that this situation I'm paraphrasing y'all. He did say in this situation it's supposed to build Megan up and destroy Tory Lanez. Now, this is why I kind of have an issue. No shade. Hey everyone, how y'all doing? What's going on? What is going on? Now here I'm gonna tell you where I don't like. Let me read some of y'all comments before I even proceed. Now it says, if he was on the board, why didn't he spend his 2 years talking about that instead of taunting Megan? But that's what I said. I feel like it was very strategic about the father bringing that up. Now, what he did say, what the father actually did say as well, in addition to that. Now, I'm not saying I believe it, but what he did say is that certain things that Tory has done, like as in his good deeds, he don't mention those things. Well, to be completely honest, if you're in, and that's the thing, and that's the thing that gets me with this Tory Lanez stuff. Let's just go with the narrative that this man is innocent. Let's just go with the narrative that he actually didn't do what we think that he did, and let's just say he is framed. Let's just say all of that. The thing that got me and kind of irked my spirit is that even if you are innocent, and this is even before the gag order, and I'm gonna say even after the gag order, you still have the opportunity and had the actual platform to speak. You had the opportunity to speak. So now let's just say with that narrative that he is innocent, and let's just say Kelsey did it. You keeping your mouth shut is the reason why Yo is in jail. Because you didn't say nothing. But I digress. And really didn't speak to the issue at hand. And even when you had the live of, and but when I say he, Tory Lanez had the live of wearing that green and white and doing the exact same thing his daddy did for the most of the live. He said a whole bunch of nothing. He said he had a whole bunch of dog whistles. He's very strategic about the way that he spoke. He gaslit. And that's what I mean. I see where Tory Lanez gets it from. He gets it from his papa, his pappy. So let me continue. Let me see. Also, you can give an organization a couple $1,000 donation, but they'll swear you're an active member without you doing anything. That's also a point. Let me see. Paying people to do and say stuff for him is the only play in his, and that's the thing. And let me continue. I don't like how he dismissed Meg as a victim, regardless if he wants to claim his son didn't actually harm her. You already know. But just as Tory, Moonlight didn't say my son did not shoot, and he just said his son was innocent. But even then, that's more than what the lawyers did. That's more than what the lawyers did. The lawyers never act. His current, well, the previous lawyers that he had for the actual trial literally never said that my client is innocent. They literally said Kelsey did it. Literally said Kelsey did it. But let me continue. Let me see. Hold up. This one I want to get it. They still trying to push it that a Megan snitched on them, even though she never pressed charges. And that's the thing too. How can someone snitch? And here's the thing, because I've actually seen some videos where people talked about, I guess, like, you know, people that was actually in the industry, whatever, and they kind of had their opinions and panels on it. And they actually said that Megan, the reason why Megan even spoke out is because behind the scenes, keep in mind, y'all, the general public did not have access to the industry like that. So if you do have access to the industry, obviously I'm not talking to you. People like myself and some other people, for the most part, we don't have access to the industry to know what's being said behind the scenes. Apparently behind the scenes, there were narratives being pushed to bloggers and blogs, basically saying that it never happened, Megan's a liar, or etc. Something along them lines. That's the reason why she spoke out. And this was coming from somebody else's mouth within the industry on a panel saying this is what was going on. But I'm gonna continue. Sometimes the bad will outshine the good. Tory's bad outshone the good. But that's the thing, girl. But even if you do good, it still does not negate. It still does not negate the stuff you have done. It does not. And the thing about it is that, once again, I'm gonna go back to it. Let's just say he is innocent. It's the fact that when it was time for you to speak, you did not. When it was time for you to set the record straight, you did not. And then not only that, you was taunting Megan the whole time, showing up when you weren't supposed to show up, and violating that restraining order. And then everybody on the panels want to look at us and tell us stuff that don't make no sense. Oh, he was supposed to just turn it down? Yes, for your freedom, yes. Yes. Because yes, you may have $500,000, but you may not have access to that $500,000 as in current day because you got locked the hell up. So yes, you can have that $500,000 for what you did for that festival, but you just won't have access to it. Yeah, now you may have access to it for honey buns, zebra cakes, and ding dongs. But being a free man, you won't have access to it. You have to be smarter than that. And then not only that, you came in a costume, which was a sign that you did not want her to see you when you got there, which means that you were aware and you knew what you was doing. But let me continue. Now, this whole thing where people say that this situation was supposed to build Megan up and destroy Tory, or it was building Megan up and it was supposed to destroy Tory, whatever. Let me tell you the reason why. Because even when we had that whole trial and we talked about that situation day after day after day after day, here's the thing. People talked about how after the situation happened, Megan just blew up. And they made it seem like, especially when they spoke, they made it seem like Megan just blew up strictly based off of this situation. But then we forget that she had a song. For one, she's tied to Roc Nation. Who's within Roc Nation? Beyonce, Jay-Z. That's major pull. But not only that, she had a very popular song called Savage, which went ballistic on TikTok. It was played all over the radio, etc. But then not only that, let's not forget, she had a collaboration with Cardi B, another major artist, which blew up as well. So it irks my spirit when people start to say things along the lines, making it seem like she blew up just strictly off of this situation, and she blew up and she took a black man down. You can't say that. Now, here's the thing. You can't really say, like, I can understand if this, I'm not gonna say I understand. I can wrap my head around that. If the situation happened with Tory Lanez and stuff, and then, went into the media, and just because of that specific situation, people wanted to reach out to her and started collaborating, and then she blew up after that. Then I can kind of wrap my head around that. But let's not forget, the situation technically through the timeline happened after all of those collaborations, because Savage was already out, and then she already had filmed WAP, because that's the reason why she was at Kylie Jenner's house in the first place, and that's the reason why Tory was there, because she was invited there, and that's the reason why the whole situation went south. So that doesn't make any sense. Girl, it's the logic for me. It's not making sense. And I need for people to make it make sense to me personally. And he's not doing it either. But now he used language saying that Megan was used as a sacrificial lamb. And once again, he's talking about how, once again, every time I say this, it's going to irk my soul. He forgives Megan Thee Stallion, as if he has that opportunity to forgive somebody for holding his son accountable for something that he did. How does that make sense? Hey, Purple Lover, how does that make sense? How does that make sense? How you mad for somebody holding your son accountable? And y'all know for a fact I do not like that accountability word. But for purposes like this, I have to use it. But let's get straight into it. So another thing that I found very interesting, in addition to that, well, I'm gonna say I mentioned it earlier, is the verbiage. This is where you have to listen to the verbiage that's used, because for me, when I hear certain verbiage, I hear dog whistles that acts as a way to activate MK Ultra, aka the delusion within people. He used verbiage like sacrificial lamb, which is like religious type of language, which is gonna go towards the realm. Come on, vocabulary, because I'm over here struggling. Which goes towards the realm of God, which is, once again, is going to help build trust. Remember, earlier in the live, he talked about him being a pastor, which also is going to build trust, because keep in mind, he is Tory Lanez's father, so people expect for his family members to speak out for him, but yet he wants people to trust what he is saying, because he's a pastor. He talked about fearing God and not evil people. Basically two birds with one stone. One saying that he fears God, letting know he's a God-fearing man, using God as a manipulative tactic to, once again, build up trust. Then saying that evil people trying to, and once again, he didn't always specifically say who these evil people were. Now, they did say Jay-Z, they said Desiree, they said Roc Nation, different times, but saying that he's not scared of evil people. And I'm like, okay, you're feeding into the narrative about the conspiracy theories that people have about Roc Nation being involved. You're feeding into the narrative of what people are saying when it comes down to I guess like the Illuminati and taking this black man down, but then not only that, he wanted, I think he was independent, about to own his masters, something along them lines. And so since he didn't sign with Roc Nation, they want to take him down, etc. And here's my thing that gets me. This is what I need for people to make it make sense. If Tory Lanez, because my thing is, if things were to add up, I can actually digest a lot of stuff that people are saying. But I think it's very interesting that a lot of times when it comes down to certain people, they like to use conspiracy theories. Not saying that these conspiracy theories are false. Hold on, I'm going to make me some water. But not saying these conspiracy theories are just completely BS. But I think a lot of the times when they bring this stuff up, it's really convenient. It's very convenient. Very convenient. I think it's very convenient because let's just say the whole Roc Nation was true. Let's just say it is true. It probably is true. I don't know. Let's just say it is true. But what about Tory Lanez tells the masses that he is afraid for his career to be snatched away from him? What about Tory Lanez, your son, Moonlight, your son, lets us know that he was afraid that his career was going to end? He's hit August Alsina all in the mouth, ran up on Dex with with a weapon. He punched that other dude. I forgot what's his name. I think it was like an R&B singer. I forgot what his name was. Punched that dude. Got into it with Travis Scott. Knocked the hell out of Prince upside his dome while he was sitting on his high chair. So if we were to go with the narrative of Tory Lanez was fearful or was worried about Roc Nation, and I'm about to use the language that people use, this big giant machine, if he was afraid of this big giant machine, why is it that he was still consistent with knocking other artists up and other celebrities upside their head? So you mean to tell me Tory Lanez was afraid of one big giant machine, aka Roc Nation, for getting into it with their artists, or getting into a situation with their artists, but yet he still hit Prince upside his head, knocked the hell out of August Alsina, was over there beefing with Travis Scott, was over there, what's the guy? I cannot remember this man's name. I know he had a thing with Dax, and this other guy, I cannot remember his name to save my life. So you mean to tell me you went up on all these other people who, some can probably argue, are connected to other big giant record labels, machines, or have connections within the industry, but you're afraid of Roc Nation. So you're afraid of one big giant machine, but you have no issue having 4 other machines or 5 other machines on your ass. That doesn't make any sense to me, personally. Personally, it doesn't make any sense to me. Now it says, how can they fear God yet play in God's face? Them gates looking real good. No shade. I don't think Roc Nation will lose sleep or revenue because they couldn't sign someone who looks like he brushes his teeth with gunpowder. Okay, Jesus, there we go. Well, the sign Meg and she big as King Kong, girl. Says, my question is, why didn't anyone else pick his little self up and put him on the coat rack, girl? But that's my thing. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. Now, if someone can actually make all of this make sense, I'm like, I can wrestle that idea, but it doesn't make sense to me. It does not. So, okay, let me continue. So yeah, so it was him talking about the verbiage that he was using. He uses those verbiage as a way to, as dog whistles to activate the MK Ultra of delusion, and for people who have conversations surrounding conspiracy theories, which I'm not going to say are false, but I do believe that when they're brought up in situations like this, they can be manipulated to push a narrative. That's just no shade. Okay, so yes, he used there we go. Yes, he used language like the machine, which is a triggering language. It was acts as MK Ultra for people that are deep within conspiracy theories, or talks about the Illuminati, talks about checkerboards and etc. This big giant machine. He also says they. Now, they is like a regular word. People use it. They here, or we went over there. Or it's real general. But when he used they, and I said it, and I have it up here. When he said that, and I quote, it says, they are scared for people are going to think for themselves. And the question is always, who is they? Who is they? They who? And I feel like when people speak like this, they're doing it on purpose. And the reason why I say that is because you would have said who they were. You had no problem saying at the courthouse. Who is they? You said Desiree. Say Jay-Z. Who is they? Who is they? And I felt like when he said they, it allowed people, once again, as MK Ultra. And then, like I said before, he used religious language. Now, he did talk about and say that Tory Lanez used his craft, aka his album, as a way to speak because he was put on a gag order. Here's my thing. And this goes back to what I said 2.5 seconds ago. Hey, what's going on, Mary? I see you in the chat. This is what gets me. What gets me personally is that Tory Lanez had the opportunity to speak. He had the opportunity to speak. Then, not only that, when the narrative was being pushed by Megan and the record label, etc., Roc Nation, whoever, was being pushed to protect Black women, he decided to combat that with, when have I ever not protected Black women? But yet, and when I say when he had the opportunity to combat that, I'm talking about that exact same live where he wore white and green. That live. He said, when have I ever not, when have I not protected Black women? Meanwhile, while he was actually saying that out his mouth in that live, he was currently, and let's just go with the narrative that he was innocent and he did not do it. If that's the case, and you're saying that out your mouth as like during that live currently, but yet in that exact same live at that exact same time, you're saying that you're protecting the person that quote unquote shot Megan. So you're not actually protecting quote unquote Black women. And then not only that, you completely denied that she even got shot. You acting like she was lying as if, I don't know what she's talking about. All those different types of things. And let's be very clear. The reason why she spoke out once again is because behind the scenes, there were scutterbutt, and hopefully I'm using that word. Scutterbutt or whispers. Come on, whispers. There were whispers about what had happened being pushed to blogs. And from what Megan and some other people that I've seen say is that this stuff wasn't coming from Megan. And Kelsey really don't have no type of pull, to be completely honest. And the reason why that narrative would somewhat probably hold some truth is because you have been caught in the past having fake documents and trying to push a narrative. The whole colorism scheme, trying to push a narrative. You having false documents, made, trying to push a narrative. And this is what I mean once again. And this goes back to what I said about Andrew Tate. And y'all probably like, what the hell do you got to do with Andrew Tate? But it's what I said about the whole thing with Andrew Tate. You have to be careful about your name, because let's just say you are telling the truth. Let's just say you're out of the trillion times, this one time you're actually not the bad guy. But yet you are also because of your reputation and because of the things you probably have done in the past, or the situation surrounding your name, people are able to construct, modify lies, rumors around your name to where people are able to believe those things. So let's just say he was 100% innocent. He was telling the truth. It's kind of hard to believe that he was actually telling the truth, because for the most part, he don't really tell the truth at all. No shade. No shade. Then you had the opportunity to speak. You said it never happened. You use gaslighting language, trying to use semantics of, no, she wasn't shot. But that's the thing. You knew she was shot. You knew she was shot because you had the weapon as well. In addition to everybody else, you had the weapon. You had GSR on you. What Sean Kelly saw all y'all and saw flashes and heard gunshots. We heard the gunshots once everything got released. You were there. You were present. So the fact that you act like it didn't happen was like, girl, what the hell is what is he talking about? What is he saying? That doesn't make any sense at all. Now, he did talk about, now when I say he did, I'm talking about Moonlight, aka Sonstar Peterson, Tory Lanez's father. But I'm gonna call him Moonlight for the people that's coming in. So Moonlight actually said in the live, he said and talked about how just about Roc Nation's involvement. I'm gonna say Roc Nation's involvement, and also how the government is corrupt and all these things. Now, he said that he sat by, when I say he, I'm talking about Moonlight. Moonlight said that he sat back and watched for 2.5 years. He said he sat back for 2.5 years and saw an unjust system just about attack his son. Here's the thing. You sat back more than 2.5 years because you sat back for the Megan Thee Stallion situation. You sat back for Prince situation. You sat back for August Alsina situation. You sat back for Dak's situation. You sat back for his baby mama. You sat back for Travis Scott. You sat back. It's a lot. You do a lot of sitting back, apparently, because to be completely honest, after the whole Dak situation, because to be completely honest, maybe I'm about to just jump into my toxic side. When you see your children fighting or whatever, you can be like, okay, just chill out, But to get to a point to where you have a situation where where you actually pulled out a weapon or you had a weapon on you, and then on top of it, you a celebrity at that, you need to calm down. It's a lot of sitting back that you do, and that's the problem. You shouldn't have been sitting back, Moonlight. You're Moonlight. You're supposed to shine through. You get your ass up, and you most definitely supposed to talk to your son. Hold your son. And y'all know I hate this word with a passion, because I feel like people use this word accountability or accountable, but they really be blaming people. Oh, it irks my soul. You should be you have been the one, as quote unquote the patriarch, the leader of the family. You should have been the one to talk to your son and say, yo, you bugging, have that real conversation with him. Because it seems like you did not. You didn't. And the reason why I think that is because the first thing out your mouth within the courts after he got that guilty verdict was Roc Nation, all these things, yada yada yada. But last time I checked, Roc Nation didn't have your son in that at Kylie Jenner's house. Roc Nation did not have your son with the GSR on him. Roc Nation did not have your son go live with that red and that green. that green and that white, gaslighting the situation. Roc Nation did not have your son on stage with the baby when your son was very much aware of a restraining order that he was supposed to abide by. Roc Nation didn't do all those things. Now I can somewhat, I could have wrapped my head around the whole Roc Nation thing if Tory Lanez was not an active participant, but he was an active participant. It's like walk straight into the punches. It's like, girl, what? Like, what does that mean? Like, what? Y'all make sure y'all thumbs up this video. Please, please, please. On your way in or on your way out, please make sure you guys thumbs up, because thumb up really does help with the YouTube's algorithm. We're going to do our job in here, because guess what? YouTube can finally do their job out there. When they do their job out there, we can finally get some new people up in here. Okay? But yes, like, that's the reason why the whole Roc Nation thing kind of irks my spirit, because I feel like people are trying to manipulate the situation. And I'm gonna say the talking and I'm gonna say the conversation when in terms of quote unquote accountability. Y'all know that word irks my spirit. But when it comes to accountability, and I'm gonna put that right there. And I said that earlier. Good deeds and being a menace, two things can exist at the same time. And to be completely honest, I'm probably gonna say something that's gonna be a tad bit ignorant, but however, I need for y'all to follow where I'm going with this. People who are within gangs, not saying that all gang bangers are bad or etc., but I need for y'all to follow me on the most basic level. So all that nuance, leave all the nuance out. People who may actually be in gangs, they may, especially the ones in the past, they may not go and hit or hurt children or women, especially the ones in the past, way back in the day. They may not hurt or harm children or women, but which is a good thing, and they may actually protect those women and children. But that does not mean they have not taken a few lives of other men. So yes, this comment right here saying that good deeds and also quote unquote being a menace, two things can exist at the same time. So yes, Tory Lanez has most, from what you guys have said, well, not y'all, but his father, from what you said, Moonlight, yes, your son most definitely has done good deeds within his career. But however, there's also a flip side to that as well. And to our knowledge, from what we know, because keep in mind, from what Moonlight said, what Tory Lanez actually do, as in the good deeds, he doesn't talk about. So from what we know, the bad outweighs the good. Now I can see this like one situation, and after like we kind of don't hear about it no more, but there seems to be a consistent pattern. No shade. But yes, he talked about how 2.5 years he just about watched the unjust system. But once again, you've been laid back for too long. Now he also said that he saw evidence that was pushed aside to prove son's innocence. Now here's the thing, and I wonder what evidence is he's referring to. And that's the thing about it. And I don't know if they plan on going. I don't know what they plan on doing, because my thing is, because he said that this trial, this case is not over. So I'm trying to break it down right here in front of y'all. He said this case is not over. He said that you guys may think it's over, but it's not over. I was like, okay, cool, okay. Hey, CJ daughter. But here's the thing, like, okay, you said the case is not over. Okay, cool. But if you're making the claim that this evidence, or you saw evidence that proved your son to be innocent, but it was pushed to the side, why aren't you actually speaking of the evidence specifically? Stop speaking in this general blanketed way. Speak about the actual evidence that you claim that proved that your son was innocent. But you're not speaking of that evidence. You're just saying, we had evidence that proved that he was innocent, but it was pushed off to the side. But if your son is in that situation, why aren't you talking about the evidence specifically? And then not only that, he also said, now the reason why, now the only thing I could come up with that, I don't know how true this is actually gonna be, girl. Only thing I can say about that specific part I just talked about is that they said that this case not over. So I'm pretty sure they're probably gonna try. Well, based on that statement, they're probably going to try to take this to court again or try to do something to get. I don't know, because I don't know the legal system like that. But they're probably gonna try to do something to get him up out of there or get him justice, etc. I don't know. Now he also said that so he also talked about how they showed evidence. Yeah, he said that the showcase of evidence after the trial, after the guilty verdict. Now here's the thing. I know what he was referring to, quote unquote, a smear campaign, campaign. But here's the thing. If there are a lot of people within the case that had certain evidence, that saw certain evidence, y'all do know that evidence is released after a court case is done, after a trial is done. That's the reason why we have transcripts after the fact, is because these things are released to the public. Like, y'all do know that, right? Like, the evidence was released. We even know, and we know for a fact, that Street TV and Nick at Night, shout out to y'all, put the work in to have evidence released. So yeah, that's a norm. That's a norm, especially in high-profile cases. That's a norm for stuff to be released after the fact. So yeah, it was gonna be released, especially with all these other different blogs and stuff. And Nick at Night and Street TV are actual receipts of that. That you have all these people invested in this case. So yeah, they was gonna work extra hard to try to get that evidence for themselves, because they knew TMZ and all these other blogs was gonna, try to get to it first, but they was already there. And shout out to them. Now, he said this, girl. He asked the question, what do you do when you see injustice so plain and blatant? Here's the thing. And because that's the end of my notes. Here's the thing. He said, what do you do when you see injustice so plain and black? Sir, what? That's the question you need to ask yourself. What do you do when you see injustice? Because my thing is this. If things were the other way around, we wouldn't be having this conversation. That's just no shade. We would not have that conversation. We would not have that conversation. People say that Kelsey and him, Daystar, Tory Lanez, was fighting over the weapon. We heard the gunshots for ourselves. There was no struggle for the weapon at all. People said that when it came down to the Kelsey, quote unquote, lying on the stand, that we shouldn't believe Kelsey. But then they actually her actually, quote unquote, not believing anything on the stand, it allowed the prosecutors and the judge to use her September interview, which correlated with the evidence that the prosecutors had. And not only that, it correlated with Sean Kelly, the defense attorney's witness testimony on the stand. And not only that, you have Kelsey saying that he did it and put him behind the weapon. Megan said he did it and put him behind the weapon. And then not only that, you have Sean Kelly, an old elderly white man that I'm pretty sure he's not on his knees, doing his thought shit, aka a hottie. And I'm pretty sure he probably don't know who the hell Tory Lanez is. So he don't have really a dog in this fight. And he also said that Tory did it. So, girl, I don't know. I'm about to drop the link. I'm gonna see what you guys are gonna say. I'm not gonna be here forever, but I will drop the link. Give you guys like 30 seconds to come up, and we're gonna see what you guys got to say. For the people that do want to come up, let's see. But yeah, that's really all I got to say about the IG Live. I feel like it was BS. I felt like he once again we see where Tory Lanez gets it from. We see where that gaslighting, talking in manipulative ways, talking in a way to push a narrative, talking in a way to where it kind of hints towards something, or it's like, I'm going to hint towards it. I'm not going to say it directly, but when it comes down to it, when things hit the fan, people not going to realize that it was me, but I kind of did, kind of agitate the situation to make it go a certain way. So, that's all. So, girl, we see where he gets it from. No shade. Hey.
Hey, boo.
Hey, Anya.
How
Hey,
are
what's
you?
going on? Give me your thoughts about the IG live. Because to be honest, I caught this IG live like 2 days ago, or when it first came out, but I wasn't home, and I was like, I gotta make sure I came up for this because I want to see this. I want to actually be here. I wasn't home, so what you got to say about the IG live, girl? It's just.
So first, I'm gonna say, Sunstar, Sunstar.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I definitely see where Tori's energy, personality, and characteristics come from. I definitely feel like he gave me very much Bishop Nolex type teas. The live was all over the place. He could not stay to task. I think that this man is completely fraudulent himself. He's trying to divert from his lack of parenting. When it comes to his son, it's everyone else. There's no accountability, as you stated.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing. He has not spoken, not one time. Where was this energy when his son was in court with friends?
Yep.
Because that's the public matter. You did not one time stand up for your son in the public. I
Yeah.
feel he's also a clout chaser. He's
Mm.
angry at all the wrong people because the reality is Tory is the breadwinner for their family.
Uh-huh.
Okay. There does come a lot of benefits, whether it's in the church or out of the church. When you have children that are celebrities of any stature in the church, it actually like boosts the morale of the parents in a way where, you know what I mean, it's beneficial. I just feel like, let's be for real, you clearly she was injured. You have no empathy for this woman. And to pretend like you're so like
Uh-huh.
godly and so righteous, it was just given like, it really gave me Bishop Rolex energy. Like
Come on, Rolex.
it did.
Yeah.
Rolex, you know, it,
Mm-hmm.
whatever. He got so many names, child. But listen,
The Rolex that ticks.
yeah, with the battery that don't work no more is dead. You know, that's what.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, yeah, Sunstar just was he really was all over the place. Like to me, I don't know why he wasted his time. You know, this is what I would wish for these people, these narcissistic people that we're running to social media is going to help clear up a narrative that our narrative comes from evidence. It's not assumption. You know, we were all assuming, and it just is like, you know, most of us, even if we didn't get it all the way right, all checks across the board, most of us that supported Meg really supported the evidence.
Mm-hmm.
As time as things were coming out more and more, it was just literally common sense. And I don't understand how people like they could not accept the simplicity of the events that occurred that night. And they tried to make, you know, this whole conspiracy thing. I'm not necessarily a person that shuns conspiracies because conspiracies
Mm-hmm.
are literally just, you know, most of the time are things that have occurred that
Mm-hmm.
have a dark tone to you know.
Mm-hmm.
So, but this was not a conspiracy.
Yeah.
It wasn't a conspiracy. I mean, when you really look at everything in hindsight 2020, for those that couldn't believe, because we did think that at one point he was going to get away with it. And
Yeah.
we thought that because of the information that was being leaked out to the media and on social media, you know,
Mhm.
people were really, and that showed a lot of biases. So now although I only frequent you content, it's like literally like 4 or 5 content creators that I fool with. And
Mm.
all people are literally integral. Y'all do research. Y'all show the research. Y'all show the like. Y'all really don't just jump up and just start reporting about stuff without doing the work. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
I'm like, dang, I'm looking at content creators extra hard. Like, y'all really came out with narratives that did not support this woman and put out, had us thinking that this man was about to walk off. And we was
And
believing
that's
what was telling us.
and that's the thing that I remember. I was in Pam's live, Pam the lawyer, and I really do like watching her live because I actually learn a lot of stuff about the law and stuff, and like it's something about her energy and stuff is digestible for me. So it's like I actually have fun watching it. And the thing is that she even said it in her live herself. She said how it's very interesting to me and her is that people will literally be in the exact same courtroom as God Is Gone, as Nick at Night, as Street TV. Like all these people will literally be in the same room, and I'm not saying them specifically, but other bloggers and content creators will literally be in the exact same room, receiving the exact same information, but yet completely, I guess, talk about what they think is going to happen, or what they talk about, what they know is going to happen, but never actually talk about the actual information that was released in the courtroom. Like, and then not only that, once the guilty verdict comes out, everybody, including all of us, are like, oh, okay, because we remember we thought he was gonna get off. So it was like, oh my God, we were surprised and shocked. But then once we hear the gunshots, once we hear the phone call, now it makes sense. Like, oh, okay. And my thing is, if everybody, and not once again, I'm gonna make this clear, this is not shots at any of the other content creators, but I'm talking about some other ones I haven't named. It's the fact that all of y'all were literally in the exact same courtroom and no one talked about those things besides the people that I actually named. That's something that should be like, you should have said, like, y'all heard these things, y'all knew about these things, and y'all acted like, oh no, he's gonna get off, knowing what that, because the thing is, y'all are giving this man too much, because let has allowed, if somebody else would have been on that phone call and acted the exact same way Tory did on that exact same phone call, y'all would not give him that benefit of the doubt, and that is what, no shade. So the fact that they did, they was being biased.
It's so weird to me too. Like, that's why I believe that the fathers and like the stepmoms, I believe their influence did kind of nudge some of the content creators to come back and report and leave half-ass, give us half-ass information. Like the most important things that, like for instance, like the recording of the gunshots, right? They didn't, they wasn't speaking to that or whatever. And I'm like, okay, Father, this is how I, like, literally, this is how I know that it is true that he was feeding information to, bloggers, because he's not even acknowledging the gunshots, that the audio for the gunshots. He's not even acknowledging the phone call from the jail. Like, your MO is the same exact MO as theirs is. And it's quite interesting that he really like got on live to say a whole bunch of nothing. What makes it interesting is, like, to me, it's like, now you chasing a limelight. That's given.
And that was the thing. It was like, for the first 15 minutes, I was like, because I keep my, I was working out too, so I wanted to make sure that I wasn't like going crazy. I'm like, when is he going to actually talk about what he came in to talk about? And the first thing that popped in my head, I wanted to make sure I put that in my notes when I was actually like hearing the video, watching the video. I was like, we see where he gets it from. Because keep in mind, like that, like I've heard that statement before, like, oh, we see where we get it, where he gets it from, as in like referring to Tory Lanez and his father. But when he was like in there just talking and he was saying a whole bunch of nothing, but it was like it was I call it fluff, a whole bunch of fluff, or he was trying to set a foundation for what he about to say. I was like, yeah, this is exactly what Tory Lanez did in that live that he did. I'm assuming in October. Mm-hmm. That with that green and white. I'm gonna keep mentioning that because that played a huge part in why the hell I'm thinking the way that I do. Child, I'm like, for the first 20 minutes, for the most part, Tory Lanez did not say nothing. I mean, for the first 15, I'm gonna say for the majority of that video, he did not say nothing. And what a coincidence! In the majority of the IG live that you did, you ain't say nothing either.
Again, it gives Rolex energy. They show that, like, I feel bad for whoever sits there and listens to him ever carry out a sermon, because it just gives, like, you really have no preparation. That's that hood preacher stuff. Like, to be very honest, they go all around the world talking about everything, but like they can't stay on subject or whatever. And it's just, you're rambling, sir. So you were rambling, and it came off very much like you are clout chasing. And instead of like instead of really taking, and when I know you don't like the word accountability, but for me, accountability is not a verbiage, it's actually an action. That doesn't mean admitting, saying that I did something wrong or someone did something wrong does not give accountability. It's actually the work to change the action from, or to work to prevent the action from ever happening again. It's actually work, right?
I have a question. So, in your personal opinion, in the what's the difference between accountability and blame? Because even in the thumbnail, the first thing I thought about, I was like, and everybody know how I feel about the word accountability. Like, I would literally try to switch it out because that's like a triggering word for me because people just throw it out there. So for me, I like to say hold their feet to the fire is another way of saying it for me personally. But what's the difference between accountability and the blame game?
Well, again, accountability is action. Putting, once you acknowledge the error, whether it be in you and even someone else, because we can hold others accountable, right?
Mm-hmm.
How do you hold someone accountable? You put something into action that creates a boundary and a standard.
Yep.
So pointing fingers and blaming someone it's unproductive. It does nothing. But when you actually set the standard and put in the work to hold the standard in place, that's accountability. That comes with action. But most people don't do that because most people think accountability means to just acknowledge. No. Accountability does require acknowledgement, but it goes beyond just acknowledging something. Hell, we all know what the problem is, even those that don't want to admit it. But let's work on a solution. And like I said, these people don't want. I see, like, that is the energy that is roaming throughout the earth right now. That literally, narcissism is running. It's so rampant, and it's so dark and heavy. Like, if you think about all that is going on right now on these YouTube streets and just in the world in general, everybody that's being covered have narcissistic tendencies, behaviors, and it is very, very, very dark. And these people they're doing anything for attention. They are craving fame by any means. They don't care. In this particular case, this man does not care about the actual victim, nor does he really care about getting his son the help that he needs, because he needs to be behind bars. He needs to be getting treatment because there is something severely wrong with a person. Now, by all means, we know we all got that trigger, that switch that can be pulled here at any moment. You know what I mean? Where you snap, right? We're human beings. We all have that. But to be a repeat offender of not being able to control yourself and articulate yourself without leading to violence, we're not children anymore. We're adults. And you have a responsibility to yourself when you even if you're working at McDonald's, you have a responsibility to yourself to control yourself and not put yourself in situations where someone else has to control you.
Yep.
If you have to be controlled, quote unquote, by the system or anyone outside of yourself, you need help. And he needs help, honestly. So I say he was a menace. I meant that without trying to be salacious or even derogatory. He is a menace. And the fact that his father is not acknowledging that, we don't expect for you to get up here and bash your son, but you don't want to acknowledge that there is something wrong. We're not going to isolate. For me, it was bigger than Meg. I'm not going to isolate it to just Megan. I'm glad that even though she had to go through what she had to go through, I'm glad she was the one that they used to make an example out of his ass. I am glad of that. I'm just sad that she, with all that she already had going on in her life, that this was something that she had to experience, probably feeling completely alone. We already know her story. But I believe that something greater is coming for her. So I'm glad that it had to be her, because I see something greater coming for her. The universe, God, whomever, wherever it's coming from, is something good going to come back to her. But there was lessons she had to learn too. But I'm just really shocked at the fact that his father really refuses to acknowledge. But I do understand why. I'm just shocked that you're claiming to be, quote unquote, a man of God. You pretending like, you, and it's not, you acting like it's not the European white God that we've been served.
Mm-hmm.
You acting like you woke. Okay. Your wife walking around here Afrocentric as fuck. Like y'all woke. You know the look, even though that ain't really that they try to put on, to pretend to be so woke.
Yep.
And then you get up here and you don't give no acknowledgement. The reality is, I understand why he don't do it. And it's real simple, Reckless. The man does not want to acknowledge his flaw, the role he played in.
Yep.
Okay? He contributed. I'm not justifying anything Tory did, but his father, you can tell his father contributed. And their relationship probably was extremely, and probably is extremely toxic
And to
behind
be
closed
completely honest, the father already low key said that he played a part in it because he laid back for so long. He laid back and watched his son be attacked by an unjust system for 2 years. Didn't say nothing. Because keep in mind, Tory Lanez had the gag order. You did not, sir. You laid back when it came to the August Alsina. You laid back with Dax. You laid back with the accusation when it came down to his baby mama, his ex. You laid back when it came down to that other, I can't remember that man's name that he punched. You laid back when it came to Travis Scott. You laid back a lot. And so this okay, girl, here we go. And this is the perfect example what I mean when I say a lot of the times people like to say, I'm not trying to make this conversation like this, but I guess I have to touch on a little bit. This is what I mean when I say a lot of times when people say I want to be a leader. Here's the thing. When it's time for you motherfuckers to speak, you guys are quiet. When it's time for you to actually take a stand, and not only in a pulpit, you're quiet. When you notice, and let's go with the narrative that your son is innocent. When you notice your son was being attacked by a criminal system, unjust judicial system, you didn't say nothing until after you got the guilty verdict. You didn't say nothing. Only time you want to say something is within the pulpit and you're being praised for it. And you're getting hallelujah, amen. You didn't say nothing beforehand. You didn't say nothing with August Alsina. You didn't say nothing with Dax. You didn't say anything when it came to Travis Scott, the baby mother. You didn't say, it's a lot of stuff you didn't say. And then on top of that, from the Tory Lanez supporters that I'm pretty sure would know him more than I know him, because I don't support him. I don't know him on a deep, deep, deep level. They even said that his father wasn't even in his life. So the fact you wasn't even in his life, and then when you are in the motherfucking life, you ain't saying shit. That's all I need to know.
And that's what I'm saying about him taking responsibility, taking ownership. I had a cousin, and I'm not going to go into a long story. I had a cousin that actually had a situation with her son. He had like this mental breakdown, and she called me, like wanted me to talk to him instead of calling crisis, right? And I'm like, okay, what can I do? She like, just talk to him, just talk to him. So long story short, I'm talking to him and all he's doing is just crying profusely. I couldn't make out what he was saying. He's just, hysterical, right? So it was like my intuition just kicked in, that like discernment, like, and I knew some things had transpired. And so I began to tell his mom, like, listen, you got to have a conversation with your child and you owe him an explanation. And I said, you can do it. I said, be honest with him. Don't hold anything back. I'm like, one thing parents do, not all, but most parents do, they don't know how to be transparent with their children, because you don't want to admit the shortcomings. It's like, even if you discuss the past, if it was something that was traumatizing and you discuss it, you don't, like, you try to still make it someone else's fault instead of just living in the reality. Like, listen, I did this because they did that. And it's just that simple, without trying to vilify the other person and just speaking your truth on your behalf, right? Parents don't know how important that is to a child. If I say, mom, to which mine is gone, but I had this conversation. Like, mom, this is what you did. A, B, C, D, F, G. And when I came and told you at this point what my feelings were, you gave me all the reasons, which were nothing but excuses to me, but all the reasons why it was this way. I wasn't looking for the reasons for why it was this way. I just wanted to have the conversation and bring to your attention on how this affected me. I don't need you to, defend yourself, because that's not you defending yourself is not acknowledging my experience. And I think Tory's father needs to really, someone needs to educate him on how to be a functional, productive parent, even to an adult. You have to have a conversation where you acknowledge that, yeah, I messed up. And I have my absence, for however long it may have been, my absence hurt you and actually helped create the situation that you're in. Because I believe what Tory is doing to other people is what he really wants to do to his father, to be 100% honest.
He got that fracture, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I believe it gives me. Have you never seen a person that was like that had issues with their parent and they literally were like angry because they could not have the conversation to get the closure and the healing that they need? And they would literally be out here just like extremely violent, easily like triggered, and you knew like this is really the reason why you're like that. And you're still that little child. You still stuck in child mode, whatever age that trauma affected you to cause you to snap, you're still stuck there. Grow the freak up. Sometimes you're not gonna actually, for the chat for children and adults that are going through this, hear me. Sometimes you're not gonna always get that from your parents, that
Yeah.
closure. So you have to give it to yourself. And yes, it's gonna leave, that little ounce of question, that doubt, like what if, or whatever the case may be, but you cannot allow them to pigeonhole you and be your destruction.
No shade.
So yeah, that's just my 2 cents on the whole thing. I just wish his father would go away, do some soul search and find himself, so that he could present a different version of himself to Tory and actually help. Because all the money and fame in the world is not what he needs. Like, it's going to do is continue to mask the real problem, and it's just really time, like, for them to like do something different and better. It really is. He need to serve his time. um, he could still make music from Canada. It's not that big of a deal. You don't even have to go in studios, and like, you could do so much now when you email stuff, all that. Like, he could still do what he do. I mean, he won't be the first one to go to prison and come back out and still be successful. You know?
Good. Hold on, I had to go check on the kids for 2.5 seconds. Oh Lord. But yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you. I agree with everything that you said in terms of, well, honestly, in terms of everything you said, because at some point, as a parent, you do have to do self-reflection. Like, I'm not, because being honest, when this trial first happened, I didn't know anything about Tory Lanez at all. like I didn't really know too much. Like only thing I knew about his music, I knew about some rap beefs he had, etc. Like surface level. But once we actually had the opportunity to meet a lot of his supporters, then they actually made us like, you know, gave us, I guess, certain things to say. I mean, certain things to research or kind of get deeper into. I was like, oh, okay. It started to give more of a background for him, and I was able to actually, I guess, have more of an understanding of why certain things happen, or not to really excuse them, but it all makes sense. The puzzle pieces were coming together. So to be completely honest, I get why, and it's sad to say, but yes, even though Tory Lanez is an adult and stuff, I see why he kind of went down the path that he went down. No shade.
Yeah, it's just, you know, when it comes to his supporters, I really don't like when what they saying. That's the mental
Mm,
health conversation a lot of people won't have, especially amongst the men. Yeah, well, listen,
melanated.
I believe this generation that has come, like I'm 41, right? So I believe the generation after me definitely is breaking a lot of the generational curses when it comes to mental health. Because we hear that a lot, and I could tell, let me tell you, I can literally tell by the comments on social media the age of the people. Like for those, every you have a lot of people that are quick to be like, oh, everybody want to cry, mental health, mental health, mental health. Mental health is like, people don't understand. Mental health is real. Okay, we've seen it, especially in our community. We've seen it every day. We all don't had a cousin that was in the back room that was not allowed to come out. You know, grandma and all of them. You know, he literally lived with like grandma, Gigi. You know, he stayed in the back, right? Even within ourselves, when you have tantrums, whatever it is, let's just say a tantrum. That has a label to it, has a name to it. It's a clinical term for it, okay? And that's what our community needs to understand. It's nothing new. It is behaviors that have always been perpetuated. They have studied these behaviors and gave it a name. So mental health is nothing new. It is not a crutch. It is a realistic thing that goes on every day. All of us have mental health issues. All of us. Some people call it stress. Stress is a disorder. You have extreme cases of stress, depression, all of these things. They have people. You don't have to necessarily take a narcotic or a prescription narcotic per se to get a hold of these things. We have holistic things or
Yep.
whatever to help us with these things. But the most important thing that you need is a support system where you can communicate.
Mm-hmm.
And most people, our mama's generation, grandmama's generation, they were taught to be kids, to be heard and seen, and they grew up as adults, still feeling like a child that could only be seen and not heard, type of thing. So, in a total realistic manner, it's not a crutch. It is something that goes on every day. It's just more recognized now because there are names for it. Where people couldn't describe their feelings and emotions in one word, they now have one word to describe their feelings and emotions, and I think it's a great thing.
Yeah. Yeah. The education and another thing too is like, and like, because even in different conversations and, you know, like on different subjects and stuff, it's very interesting to me how a lot of the times us as melanated, like black people, melanated people, in different conversations, they love to say what they love talking about science. They love talking about, you know, the statistics, etc. But then once we actually start to get into the nuance of the conversations, and they and start to really get into the scientific or statistical uh compartments of said subject that us as a community claim that we know so much about, you find out we don't know as us as a community. They don't be knowing shit. They don't.
Don't It ain't real, and scientists really aren't trying to know in a way that will help us, right? Um, it's just it's really crazy because we've been taught to make everything spiritual, right? And most things are spiritual. However, we also have to realize that most people don't think in this with a spiritual mind. It's not a daily thing. So you have to come to where people meet people where they are or whatever. And it's like people shun. It's so weird how they shun anything medical or scientific, but be quick as hell to run to science. You know, you don't believe in all of this stuff when it comes to labels like biology, all this. Y'all don't believe in that. Oh my God, I don't believe in that. But you quick as hell to run to grab some cough syrup. That came from science. Like, you got to make it make sense. But people don't, because I do have a tendency of overanalyzing things myself, right? Most people don't analyze shit. I overanalyze things because things sometimes look like they, you know, you got black, white, right? Black and white. And then there's gray areas, right? I always overanalyze the gray areas because somewhere it got, you know, that white and that black got mixed. You know what I'm saying? And I know that it's something deeper there, whatever. And it don't even have to be that heavy. It could be very simple. Simplicity really makes people, which I have been a victim of it too, makes people really damn near paranoid because they don't believe that things are just that simple. Tory Lanez, it is very simple. They was fucked up. The nigga got in his feelings because he had, let's be honest, he's very, very much an angry person. Like the leprechaun thing, not because of his height, but he really acts like a fucking leprechaun. Every fucking leprechaun movie I seen, what was described and what I learned about throughout this trial, he was acting like the fucking leprechaun. You got mad because you was insulted by a woman and you decide to shoot, whether it was intentional to shoot at her and actually make her dance, whether it was because you was just trying to like shut the bitch down, whatever your reason, you did this. You did it. People couldn't really understand, and we spent 2 weeks. We spent 2 weeks online for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12 hours trying to literally make this shit make sense. And it was very much simple. And it still is. But no, you know, people, like I said, don't want to do it reckless, and they're not going to do it because it being that simple just doesn't make sense to them. When everything else he's done has been, we see the pattern. It wasn't hard to figure out. Look at the fucking pattern. But people don't believe the patterns either. They just want us to say, yeah, y'all right. He's innocent. It was a setup. If it wasn't 1501, then it was Roc Nation. They out to get, they out to get him.
Yeah. And that's what and that's what I said earlier. I just feel like when it comes down to and big clowns, I might have to hurry in this because the kids, they're already going crazy. I have to keep I don't know if you noticed, I have to keep shutting down and keep, but that's why I keep mentioning, keep saying that I think it's very convenient that every single time they bring up Roc Nation 1501 and or the Illuminati and but I'm not saying and plus you said this before too, is that I'm not saying, or she's saying that those conversations don't hold any truth. I just think the timing is very convenient. No shade. No shade. Is anything else you wanted to say, Anya?
No, you know, I enjoyed the conversation as always. Yeah, I'm about to take it down unless you see me on Conscious. I think Conscious Live, I'm not sure.
Oh, he is? Okay. So we'll probably head over that way then, if that's the case. But I want to say thank you so very much. Thank you. And plus, I'm trying to get my lives under 2 hours because, you know, once your lives start getting past, I think I want to say like past 2 hours, YouTube don't really support it or really push it out there and stuff. So I'm going to try to condense it.
Well, I definitely
thank you.
So, all right. Well, I'll check you out later.
All righty then. I'm probably gonna hit you up on Instagram tomorrow or something. Or whatever. Right. But thank you.
You're welcome. Good night.
Good night. All righty. Oh Lord. Okay, so that is it for my video. Okay, let me make sure I get this all together over here. Okay, there we go. So hello everyone. Hello. That is it for my video for today, guys. That's really all I have to say about the false prophet, aka Moonlight, aka Sonstar, aka the father of Daystar Peterson, Tory Lanez's father. I do believe he was he showcased the reason why people side-eye Tory Lanez, but however, when he made that live, for me personally, it showcased where Tory Lanez get it from. So with all of that being said, that is it for my video for today, guys. Please make sure you guys pop that like button. Please thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. It really does help out with YouTube's algorithm. Once again, whether you're going in or coming out, baby, make sure you guys thumbs up. Please make sure you guys thumbs up, because if we do our job in here, we're going to do what? YouTube can finally do their job out there. And then what happens? More people are going to start to come here. So with all of that being said, thank you guys so very much. I want to make sure, y'all. I'm trying to do better with this. Make sure I got any Cash App contributors. Okay, currently I do not. Okay, I'm going to make sure I get you guys out the way. Oh, wait, hold on, y'all, because sometimes I have to pay, girl, but PayPal too, girl. Oh, by the way, someone had gave me money on PayPal. I ain't find it till like a month later. I most definitely did not know that. Okay, currently I'm clear. Okay, so I'm clear everything right now. I'm gonna say thank you guys so very much. Thank you. I really appreciate you guys. And with that being said, I will see you guys later. Deuces.